Swapping over to the text and links section. So let's jump into the pricing guide as an example. That's got lots of text in it. Let's click on the page section so we can look at each canvas. And let's look at the packages section. So looking here, clicking on the title, what you get. You've got all your options over on the right hand side. A lot of these we covered off in the design settings video, so you can check that one out again if you need to know what any of these do, or just click around and have a play. One of the main things we want to talk about is, so yeah, here you can choose, this is where you set up your 4 defaults, so you can choose if it's title, your heading size, whatever you set for subheading, and whatever we set for paragraph. That's black, so you can't see it, but if we made that pink, you can see it there a tiny bit. Anyway, let's go to title. So one of the main things to talk about is, yes, we've set up those 4 defaults, but you can go in at any point and change any particular one. So if we wanted to make this a bit smaller, we can change that size down to make it a bit smaller. And what you get is just a little plus sign if you've changed it. Just good to know. Doesn't mean anything. It just means that you've edited it here, but it would still be, if you select a title, it will still go back to its normal title. So for instance, and you can break things up between pretty much all the settings. You can break up between desktop and the mobile version. Size has it by default, so you can see on here what you get is a little bit too big for the mobile view. It's just a little bit over the edge. So click on the mobile, let's bring that down to 55, and that gets it just inside. One little weird thing with Show It is, even though this shows us outside, because it's set to 1200 pixels, that's not actually, so I'm on 13 inch, and it shows up fine. So I always let it go, happy to let it go a little bit outside the border of that area. So if we kind of bring it down a bit, yeah, usually happy to go out about that much. But you can see if you've got a small one, you can see what you get is actually, as it comes up, there's plenty of room on either side. Not really a guessing game, but that's about how much room I'm usually happy with. If it went out much, if you were like, double click to edit, what packages you get, and we made that like super wide, you're going to lose the font from about here. So let's just go back there. So just being aware of that. That's also not right. What you get, there we go. Okay, so looking at the differences between the desktop version and the mobile version, if you wanted to change something like coverage time is left aligned, coverage time on the mobile is left aligned. If you wanted to say center aligner on desktop, but keep it left aligned there, as an example, you can go down to the text align section, and you'll get these 3 dots. You get those on a lot of these, and that is where you can say, I want to split mobile and desktop, and then you'll get the mobile option and the desktop option. So desktop, we want it to go center align, and you can see the mobile version is still left aligned. So that can be very helpful sometimes if you want to just alter things a little bit between the two. The copy will still be covered. So if I changed, added in some random letters, they're still linked. So that is good that you can edit those separately. Now, if we wanted to edit text content, let me just change this up a bit bigger. You can just select the section, double click, go in there, and so we wanted to get rid of that first sentence. You can do that. That'll work there as well. Now this box around the text, so this is the text box. I would definitely recommend making that about the right size as the text you've selected. The reason for that is if you are going to move things around and align them, then that way it's working off the size of the box, not where the text ends. So if I left that out here, it's not going to tell me when it's aligned to say the thing next to it, but it will. Now you can see the little pink lines at the bottom of the image saying, oh yeah, that's the right thing, the right alignment. If I move that there, then that makes it more accurate. Also means for other things, like if you were to say, let's say we had a button here. I'm just going to throw in a quick button. Throw in a button here, learn more, but then you left this over the top. Let's say that let's just move the order just for argument's sake. What would happen then on the live site is this part of the button wouldn't be clickable because the box of text is actually over the top of it. It wouldn't become clickable until you're more than halfway down. So to do that as an example is, you can see here, button's not clickable until we get down here. So it's the other reason to make sure to keep the text box about the right size. It doesn't have to be super specific, but about the right size. Let's get rid of that button. Okay, so we know how to do that. Adding new text, you can either add element and choose the kind of text you want. So we can add in some paragraph text, drag it out to whatever size we want, go there, the font, default paragraph font, in this case we want the font to be font number 8, and then we can type away. And when you're done, you can either click the tick or just click off it. And that's how to add new text. The other way to do it is, let's get rid of that. You could just select text that's already there. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Move that pasted version down, and then you've kind of already got the same settings. Either way, whatever is easiest for you. So that's fine there. Another thing that we wanted to talk about is, so if you do change the text, which obviously is something that you'll be doing, let's say that this text was going to be significantly shorter. By the time you put your text in there, let's just line these up so they're a bit better. Now you've got this massive gap here that you might want to change. On the desktop, if you select all three, you can actually drag this down now and align it to the center if that's what you wanted to do. On mobile version, what you'll want to do is then bring the rest of the stuff up. So if I select a few items there, bring it up to that height, grab these items, just clicking and holding, move this up about there. Then you've got all this extra section at the end. So there'll be a Canvases video where we talk more about this, but you can click and drag this handle down the bottom and move that up to a reasonable size. Otherwise, you don't want to have those big, that's what we have, a big gap on mobile, which you don't want. So you can move that up there. It's always just a test of how it looks. So that looks good there. Okay, so we've added new text, done text box size, editing content. If you want to add a link to text, you can, again, double click to edit. If we wanted this to be a link, you'll see a little link button there, so you can make it bold, italic, strike through, add a list, add a link, and you can either choose a page on your site. If you wanted that to go to the About page, you can do that. If you wanted it to be a URL, you do have to always put in HTTPS or the full URL, not just www. But if we wanted to do a link to Google, you do need to always have, this is pretty much every builder, the HTTP or HTTPS at the beginning. if you go into an external site, you pretty much always want to open a new window, so people don't leave your site. And I always say do not follow, just so you don't get any kind of hit down the line with SEO if the link breaks or anything, or if their site gets hacked, the person you're linking to. So yeah, that's just my personal preference. There's no benefit to you to following links to other pages, to other sites, I mean. So you can save that, and now you'll see that that is a link for that section of text, and you can also get rid of the link if you want by hitting the button next to it. Okay, so some other options we've got for, let's go down a bit further. Other options we've got for over in the text. So we've gone through all the styles in previous video. Text properties. So this is a pretty big one for SEO. So your text tag, this is where you can choose between H1, H2, H3, nav, which is for buttons, P, which is for paragraph text, div if it is kind of none of those. So you always want to have one. We're going to have a separate SEO version, and they've all been set up in the template, but the main title is going to be H1. That's telling Google exactly what this page is about. Your next kind of important ones can be, you can have multiple, you're not one H1, but you can have multiple H2s. They don't have to be all like the same size. So main selling points is H2. And then, so what you get, I've got is H2. Underneath that, made these H3. And this one is paragraph. This one, do you set them up for images? No, you don't. It's all text based, so that is text properties. Size and position, these numbers just relate to, you can see that change to where its position is. Let's go back a bit. You can change the angle of text and images there. This is where you can center the canvas, which will come in handy. So if you wanted that right in the center, you can do that. If you want it in the center of the canvas vertically, you can click that, which it actually is. That'll put it there. That is that section. Horizontal locking we'll talk about in a different video. That is its own beast there, to let you control how it looks on different size screens. Click actions is if you wanted the whole, that text box to be a link. This is kind of the same for buttons as well. If I've got any buttons here, let me find a button. Of course, there's no button on this page. Let's go to the home page. Okay, there's a button. So if we wanted something to jump to another area, you've got click action. So you can see for this one, we're going to, I'm going to choose a different one. Contact page. So the click action is what happens when the user clicks. So we want that button to go to a page. Going to have that page be the contact page. Don't want it to be a new window because it's on the same site. And these, I wouldn't worry about those for do not follow. I just do for external links. If you wanted that to, like we covered before, it's just the same as a link within that text. You can have it go to a URL. You could have it go directly to an email address and then it will open up their Gmail or whatever. You can have it jump to another canvas on your page. So the canvas might be, if we want that to jump to the blog section, that would change it to, let's have a look, contact page, and that'll slide down to the blog section. But we had that one going to a contact page, which is there. So that is the click action section. Let's go back on some text. Animations we'll cover in a different one. Hover, effects and advanced, or all not relevant really to any of the text that we're doing. So we've covered H tags, click actions, hyperlinks. That is basically everything for text. And I'm going to repeat this a million times, but just making sure that when you do change text, that you, let's get that there. Let's say if this contact text was going to be a lot longer, I'll just copy and paste that again. Then bring that down. We can redesign a little bit to make it look a bit better. Grab all of those, center that. It's all very just intuitive clicking and dragging. On mobile, we need to make the canvas longer so we can see all of that. Let's change. Let's bring the button down. Make that a bit longer. It will still all work fine if that's there. If you don't bring that down, that will still work completely fine. But for design and just for neatness, let's have that there. Let's bring it down a little bit more. We'll need to bring this one up because that's a slash there. And then we're all back to normal now, so you can see how to edit the text, add links, make sure that all your H tags are set. That's paragraph. We want to make sure that these are H3s. And yeah, next, that's probably the end of this section.